Hello and welcome to another episode of Formula Food. We're back in the kitchen. We're going to ignore the incredibly short haircut. The James May locks are gone. They'll be back in about 8 to 12 months, I should think. But anyway, we're back in the kitchen. Another episode of Formula Food. This time we're cooking for the Monaco Grand Prix. Today it's Thursday, 20th of May. We've just had free practice 1 and free practice 2. Bit of a tumultuous free practice 1. Charles Leclerc suffering a gearbox problem, knocking him out of the session. But he was back for FP2 and topping the timing sheets. We love to see that. In fact, I think it's the Ferrari duo at the top of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, looking like it's going to be very exciting come FP3 in qualifying on Saturday. But that's then and this is now, and we are cooking Barbagiuan or Barbagiuan, or whatever it is. Essentially, these are a tiny little sort of pastry made up of Swiss chard and ricotta cheese, mostly. And they are a Monegasque street food. They are a very simple dish with a very simple pastry, sort of make up a little Cornish pasty style sort of bit of pastry, put a little bit of filling in it, fold it over, crimp it down, and stick it in a pot to fry, and just sort of served up as you go. You can probably top them with a bit of Parmesan cheese. But we're going to make a very simple rendition of that, something that hopefully you should be able to replicate at home. We have already made our dough. It is just flour, oil, some egg white, a bit of water, and a pinch of salts in there, and mixed together, kneaded over a floured surface, and we've got that in the fridge right at the moment. That is just not necessarily proving, but it's just sitting there chilling until we need it. The first thing we need to do after that is make our filling, and to do that we are going to combine, he says, checking his notes, our onion, which I have here. We have 30 grams of red onion. In it goes. Along with, we'll just pop that into our pan, and we're just going to heat that until it's golden. It says we're working with red onion, so it's not actually going to go a golden colour at all. So our onion is lightly sizzled off, and ignore all the other bits that you might be able to spot on the counter. That's just bits for dinner. Once your onion is sizzled off, we're going to add to it. This in here is some spinach. I think it's 30 grams of spinach or 50 grams of spinach. Again, recipe as always will be in the link in the description below. And while you're down there, you might as well hit like and subscribe. And if you have any thoughts on this, if you're from Monaco and know a better recipe for Barbagiuan, let me know in the comments, and I'll probably try and cook that. Fun little fact while I add this. Barbagiuan, I believe it translates from the French or Monegasque for Uncle John, I think I'm correct in saying. So I don't really know the origins of the name. I do know that I think in June there is actually a national day for this dish, where they sort of celebrate the dish, and you can get it in all the markets and everything. I can't remember what day in June. Again, editor me will most likely put that there. So into the pot goes our spinach, and along with it goes our friend from the Portuguese Grand Prix when we made olada. Was it? No, with the salted cod. Olada was the Spanish Grand Prix. Into the pot goes Swiss chard. We had some as a side dish for the Portuguese Grand Prix, which was the bacalhau. That was it, the salted cod for the Portuguese Grand Prix. So in go our spinach and our Swiss chard. In this instance, we're just using the leaf part of the Swiss chard, and again, much like the spinach and the onion, chopped up finely. You can get rid of the stems from the Swiss chard. And that goes in here, and we're just going to sizzle and sweat it down. Good time while that cooks, just to add a little bit of seasoning, black pepper, which will probably burn going in that pan. And one crucial thing is, for this dish, it's the only herb that I found that goes into it is oregano. So we've got some here. the more astute viewer will have noticed we haven't actually put any cheese in yet. We're just cooking off the vegetables now. We'll mix the dish with our cheese. We have ricotta and our, you're supposed to use Parmigiano. Again, this is England, you can't really get Parmigiano on a budget. So it's actually Grana Padano, which is pretty much the same. Doesn't have that beautiful salt crumb in the cheese though. There's little crystals of salt that you get in a good Parmesan. So, our vegetables are now properly cooked off. They are sizzled, nicely simmered, and we are just going to put them into a little bowl, and it's in this bowl we are going to mix in our cheese. We will be adding 30 grams of, is it 30 grams? Yes, 30 grams of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Into the bowl it goes, and we'll also be adding 50 grams of ricotta. This is a fine procurement from Tesco's earlier on in the day, and that will be going into here alongside our veggies. And here we have it, our cheese and greens mix. So we've got our spinach, our chard, our ricotta, and our parmesan in a bowl. We'll just set that to one side. We do not need the lid for the big yellow pot right at this moment, because Mac doesn't live in that drawer, it lives over here. What we are on to next is rolling out our pastry, making our little circles, filling that with oil, and then frying. So, quite a self-explanatory step. Would probably look good as a time lapse. So, here we go. Okay, and there we have it. We have our Barbagiuan finished, ready, cooked. We have this recipe made 26. One of them was quite thinly filled. If you go back and watch the time lapse at the end, the last one was pretty empty. But anyway, that's not the point. 26, if you metered it out a bit better, you'd probably get away with 26. And here is one. This is one of the latter ones. It came out a lot better than the others. A little dark, fried off quite nicely. Again, the oil had been going for quite some time by the time he went in, but let's give it a taste. A little greasy, which is sort of what you expect with street food. Pastry most definitely could have been thinner. A lot of what you taste there is a pastry, which is quite a sort of rustic flavour because it was done in olive oil, which again brings a lovely flavour to it, and a bit of lard in there as well. But in there you do get this beautiful freshness from the spinach, the baby spinach and the Swiss chard, beautiful. And again, the ricotta in there, very soft and mild. You could go for a stronger cheese. Even more Parmesan wouldn't go amiss to really back up that cheesy flavour, bring out a really nice tang to it. But they are very nice indeed. They would go very nicely with probably a glass of Prosecco, if anything. Standing on a balcony next to, I don't know, tobacco, or perhaps even at a casino with a hairpin. Staying there, little plate of Barbagiuan, glass of Prosecco, Charles Leclerc leading the Monaco Grand Prix. That would be ideal. That would be where they're best suited. Very good indeed. Cheers.